Hi, BC Cloutier here. We've got some exciting news for you. On October 19th, at the Naples Grand Beach Resort, Action for Life presents Jim Caviezel live and in person.
Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
The star of Sound of Freedom will be here in Naples, telling us all about the filming of the movie and the real-life experiences of Special Agent Tim Ballard.
Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
Please join us for a lovely evening with dinner and beverages at the Naples Grand Beach Resort on Thursday, October 19th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. Get tickets at actionforlife.org/events.
Hi, I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program which brings you the big G for the gospel of Jesus Christ and the little g, all the good things that people do to put the gospel of life into action. Hey gang, I think that many of you have seen or perhaps have heard of the movie The Sound of Freedom about children who are being used and abused in sex trafficking. And I suppose for most of us, we don't really give it much thought. We say to ourselves, well, that's unbelievable. It doesn't happen here. It happens someplace else. And yet, we find out it does happen. It does happen right here in our own state of Florida. As a matter of fact, we are one of the hubs for sex trafficking. It comes in many different ways. It's not just the physical contact with people who are evil and perverted, but it also comes through the sharing of files, through the internet. And we have one of the biggest networks here in the world, in the United States of America. As I said, right here in Florida. Children are coming into our country over the border. They're coming in through film. They're using the port of Miami. And we sometimes have to be sensitive to not only what is going on, but we have to be proactive. What are we going to do to stop the problem and to help those people who are being used? They're being abused. They're being destroyed by sex trafficking. And sometimes there are some people in some very high places who are not working hard enough to put an end to the problem. Or maybe they're part of the problem. So what I did today, I went out and found a wonderful lady named Gaston. I met Karen at a conference, I guess a couple of months ago, and she got up and she gave a marvelous presentation about what is going on right here in Southwest Florida, namely, our own area, Collier County and Lee County. And she runs an organization called Wings of Shelter International. And I want her here today to tell us about the problem and then about her organization. Then I'm going to tell you about what Action for Life is going to do to help to solve this problem. Okay, Karen, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Father Orsi. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much. I just spoke a mouthful about what the problem is here, but I want to know, first of all, how did you get involved in this problem?
Well, I got involved in actually, Wings of Shelter contacted me based on my resume. I had done a lot of work with drug and alcoholics in women's homes in the past, and they reached out to me and asked me would I be interested in coming on board and working with them. And so they actually found me, which was a nice thing. I had reached out to several organizations in the sex trafficking industry initially, to no avail, and out of the blue, God just had the right place for me, and they contacted me. So that's actually how I did get into this. But it's really a love of serving people and serving God's people. There's only one commandment, really, love God and love people. And there's many of us out here doing many different things that shows how much we love God and how much we love people. If when you love God, you put your money where your mouth is and you go do something about the problem. And so you're absolutely right. Sex trafficking is a huge epidemic in the United States and around the world, actually. You were talking about Florida. Florida is actually number 3 for the largest sex trafficking, commercial sex trafficking in the United States.
Moly,
California,
Father Orsi, my mind is so shocked that we are number 3 in the United States. May I ask you what's number 1 and number 2?
So California is number 1, Nevada is number 2, Florida is number 3, and I believe New York is number 4.
Wow. I guess with big cities like Miami, and I guess our proximity to the border, I guess it makes it easy for them to exploit children.
Well, it's
and
a very
women.
transient state. Yes, sir. It's a very transient state. I mean, everybody's on vacation, everybody's moving. You don't have to have a Florida driver's license to stay here for a month, 6 months. You can come and go, and we have a very transient state. So it's very easy to hide people. And being number 3, actually, US 41 is one of the main thoroughfares that they run up and down US 41. And Naples is huge. And basically, you say, Naples? Why Naples? Well, there's a lot of money to accommodate those types of things in the Naples area. So Florida is big. Sex trafficking is actually the 3rd fastest growing crime in the world. And the reason for that is drug trafficking is number 1, human trafficking, which is labor, is number 2, and sex trafficking is number 3. And the reason it is the fastest growing crime in the world is because it is the most lucrative crime there is. If I sell you cocaine, once it goes up your nose, I have to go back and find more cocaine for you. But if I sell you a human being, I can sell that human being over and over and over again and make billions of dollars. It is a billion-dollar industry, sex trafficking.
Okay, well, I ask you that. You talk about this multi-billion-dollar industry, and then you said, right here in Naples on Tamiami Trail, it's one of the biggest corridors, and there's unfortunately a lot of money here that is being used to purchase people, folks. Purchase people.
Children.
This is children, women. I guess some men too. This is sex slavery. That's what this is. Now, what I want to ask you is this. Are you talking about actual bodies being exchanged, or is this the selling of files, pornography? What are we talking about here?
Okay, we're talking actually about bodies being sold. Now, the United States of America is the number 1 consumer of sex worldwide. What that means is we purchase more pornography, more sexual items, more anything that has to do with sex. The United States of America is the largest consumer in the world. Globally, we're it. And so sex trafficking, when we say we're selling bodies, we're actually, these children are being sold, and adults. Now, Wings of Shelter, we work with the children. Our children are 18 and under. Our youngest thus far has been 11 years old in sex trafficking. We have a saying in sex trafficking that 5 times 5 times 5 equals 6,500. And you say, well, Karen, that doesn't add up. What that means is if this child is sold 5 times a day, 5 days a week for 5 years, she has now been raped 6,500 times.
Oh my God, folks, I can't fathom this. I could hardly believe this, but Karen is giving us the facts. It's right here, and it is right now. Okay, are you working with law enforcement? How do you help these people? What do you do?
Okay, so what we do, we have safe homes here in Lee County for underage minor girls that have been trafficked sexually throughout the state of Florida. Sometimes we get them from out of the state, but we are actually licensed through the Department of Children and Family Services. We're vetted through the FBI, Homeland Security, ICE, and the Witness Protection Program. So, for example, if there's a bust in Jacksonville, Florida, they find 10 little teenage girls, they have to send these girls, if it is confirmed that they have been trafficked sexually, these girls have to go to a what we call a CSEC home. It is a home for commercially exploited, sexually exploited children. There's a lot of particulars that go into that in the state of Florida. They have to be under 24-hour surveillance. They can't be alone. They have to be watched. They can't have cell phones. There's a lot of particulars that go with keeping them safe. And they don't even realize, Father Orsi, when they come to our ministry, that they've even been victims. That is how manipulative this trafficking is. Most of the girls that are highly susceptible to trafficking are the girls that are coming out of our foster care program, the welfare system, girls with a very unstable home life. These are the biggest target for these traffickers, because what they do, they manipulate these young girls to believe that they are their hero. They are the knight in shining armor, and they're going to take them away from all of this. And so they manipulate them, they buy them things, they do their hair, they get clothes, and they spoil them and date them and pretend it's their boyfriend. And then the number's called. And then all of a sudden he says, you need to pay for that stuff. Now picture a 13-year-old girl. She doesn't have the emotional intelligence to realize what's going on. He loves her. She loves him. She got a terrible home life. Nobody cares whether she comes or goes. So now this person has showed her the love and told her everything she needed to hear. This is how our grandchildren are being manipulated. Now he says, well, you need to do me a favor because I got to pay for all that hair and the clothes I got you. So he asks her to sleep with somebody on the side. Excuse me, I'm being very, very gracious with my words because I don't want her to go too deep with this, but I want you to realize. So now she does a sexual favor for him because she's in love with him and she needs to help him out financially. And that's a lot of times how the trafficking begins in these girls. And then they're swept away into motel rooms where they live the rest of their life until usually, and of course, he's going to get her addicted on drugs, meth, crack, heroin, whatever, because basically that's the only way she's going to function and be able to stay kind of like numb to the situation. He keeps her trafficked. There's a lot of different scenarios. He keeps her trafficked for many years. Eventually, she loses her self-worth. She doesn't know who she is. Her identity is shattered. He makes her feel worthless, that nobody else would want her, and this is her lot in life. And when those girls come to us, very often that's what they believe. So what we do, we are a Christian 501c3 faith-based organization that houses these girls. We take them out of that trauma, and they are coming out of trauma like post-traumatic stress disorder.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Before they get to you, is like the intervention of the police or social services, or are they the ones that rescue them and then bring them to you? How do they get them and then bring them to you?
Now, that would be a Jim Caviezel question as far as the sound of freedom. There's a lot of times, now they come through the system. So the law enforcement will arrest the traffickers, the girls. A lot of times they're on the street trafficking or wherever he has his girls. And so they come through the foster care program or Department of Children and Family Services. So DCF will call us and say, I've got, 2 girls, I've got 3 girls, I've got 1 girl. And then we go back and forth with our case managers to see if that child is a good fit for our program. And so they call us and they send them to us through the state. Most of the girls that get trafficked, they are already in the foster care program. So they've been in and out of group homes, which caused a lot of trauma to begin with in their lives anyway. They feel like they're throwaway children. Nobody cares about them. And so they are prime target. So the law enforcement sometimes will call us, but for the most part, they come through the state of Florida to us.
Okay, so they come through the state of Florida to you, and they have to fit your program, right? They have to buy into what you want them to do. So what are some of the things that, constraints you put on them?
So we are Christian, faith-based. So what we do, we hire a godly husband and wife to live in the home with the children. We try to keep our homes small. We don't warehouse children. Each child will have their own bedroom. So typically a home will have 3 girls in each home, a mom and a dad. And so they're going to go to church on Sundays. The girls are going to be in youth group on Wednesday night. They will sit and have breakfast and dinner with their house parents. They will pray together. We have mental health counseling that they are required to go to. We have empowerment training that they go to. There are life skill classes these girls will go to, because a lot of them now, they haven't been in school for a year or 2 or 5. So their education is lacking. So during the day, we send them to a lot of churches, rent a space so that we can have our little classrooms there. The girls will go. We have tutors and teachers that help them with the Florida Virtual Homeschool program to help them study and get either their GED, high school diploma. And if they're old enough, occasionally we'll have a girl that wants to apply to go to college. There's a lot of funding to help them get their education.
What about the pimps? Do they find out where they are? How do you protect them from getting back into their lives?
Okay, we protect them because the girls are not allowed to have any internet access, period. They're allowed to have little flip phones, those old jitterbug flip phones, so that they can call their case managers and several other people that are approved. Now, people always ask me, well, why do they come to a safe home instead of going to their parents? Typically, the parents are not capable. It's not that they're not capable. They are not healthy mentally, physically, emotionally enough. Otherwise, the children would go back to their family. We had one young girl, just as an example, begged her grandmother for 3 or 4 months to quit smoking pot just so she could come home. And the grandmother wouldn't, because, it's easier to leave her in a safe home than to quit using drugs. I mean, it's just insane, the family lives that these kids come out of. So we try to give them a godly love. We do what we have a non-punitive neuro-relational type of discipline, where they've come out of so much trauma and complex trauma, like a war veteran. So we really try to give them love, and consequences are we give them the option. If you choose to do this, these are the consequences. We try to love them, because nobody's ever loved them. We try to rebuild their self-esteem and help them realize, A, yes, you were a victim. Somebody took very bad advantage of you. B, we take them from being a victim to a survivor and get them to overcome their victimization through mental health counseling, and there's a lot of that. And then we take them to become an overachiever, and the goal when they leave our program is to go back out into society and be a leader and change the society, whatever society they end up in. And that's the goal of Wings of Shelter.
Okay. Now, how many shelters do you have in our area? I mean, you said you have 3 girls to a house.
Right.
How
we
many?
have several in this area, and we're in Lehigh, Fort Myers, Estero, and I can't, of course, tell you what they are because they're safe homes. And you had asked me a question I did not answer. How do we keep the traffickers from being in touch with the girls? The answer to that one actually is the traffickers really don't care, because they are a dime a dozen. And when one leaves, he'll be right there out. He's already got 30 more he's working on trying to manipulate to get into his system. Without access to the internet, the girls cannot contact, and phones. So that's very strict regulations in our safe homes. So we have several shelters throughout the house, or throughout Lee County. We're hoping to, of course, acquire another one. And we're always, of course, looking for homes and property. We'd like to possibly go into Collier County at one point. You guys have the shelter down there, which is wonderful.
Hi, I'm B.C. Cloutier, president of Action for Life. As you can imagine, producing this program is quite an expensive endeavor, and we would appreciate your contributions in any amount. If you'd like to support the program, please visit actionforlife.org and click on the donate button. Again, it's that simple, actionforlife.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Hey gang, I know a lot of you sometimes can't watch all of our episodes of Action for Life. However, we have a solution for that. All you have to do is go to YouTube and search for Action for Life Florida. And you can catch up on all the shows, and guess what? Extra added bonus, you get to hear my weekly homily. So YouTube and you make a fine couple. What I also am interested in, are these girls local girls, or are these girls coming in as migrants over the border, or is it a combination of?
It is a combination of. We have seen a lot of immigrants from the border, and we're seeing a lot more now, as a matter of fact. And they're not local, because typically when you have a child that's rescued out of sex trafficking, they will move them to another city. That's why Jacksonville will call us, Panama City will call us, Tampa. We try to get them a couple of hours away from where they've been trafficked. A, so they don't run into any of their clients. B, so they don't run into their trafficker. And typically the traffickers aren't too worried about them. They're a dime a dozen. Most of these girls will die in the trafficking because they hide suicide, because they don't know there's any way to get out. Their self-esteem is so shattered, drug overdose, or at the hands of their trafficker. So the typical lifespan, unfortunately, for these children in trafficking is about 7 years.
So you have a lot of young girls who are dying, and, well, when they die, the police, the coroner, don't they investigate how this happened, and where the pimp is and where the nest is, where they have these women in captivity?
It's from what I understand, it's very hard to prosecute the traffickers. And most of the girls and the women coming out of trafficking, the trafficker teaches them right up front within the first probably 30 days that if you tell anybody what's going on, I'll kill your mother, I'll kill your father, I'll kill your dog, I'll kill your children, whatever they can do to keep them in that control. So when the women come out or they're rescued, most of the time they're afraid of the police, because A, the police is going to take them away from the person they love. B, if they can't get in touch with the trafficker, now they're going to be dope sick in a few hours, because they are going to need crack or meth or whatever it is. So if they turn him in, they won't get their drugs. And the third thing is they're too terrified that he will follow through and kill their family members. So they keep them in bondage.
Where are they advertising these girls? Is it online? Where are the Johns located? How do they get business? I'm still incredulous as to this.
It's amazing. It's on the dark web. There's different pages that the police track, and the traffickers are they'll track them on Backpage and a lot of the dark web. And the girls, actually, the trafficker will train them to hustle do their own marketing, basically, for a lack of better words, to get their own clients, and they use their cell phones. That's one of the reasons the judges will say there is no internet access, no cell phones allowed for the children in our homes. That way they can't reach out, because typically they'll go right back to the trafficker again and again until you can break that cycle on the inside of them and help recreate the identity on the inside of them and tell them, you are a beautiful creation from God. You are not what happened to you. That is not you. That is what happened to you. That is not who you are.
How successful is your program?
So we have a lot of girls. It's interesting. Most of the girls that come through the program go into social services, nursing. We've had several lawyers, a lot of nurses, I think a few doctors. I know at least one, but I didn't do all the research before. I didn't know you were going to ask that. But as far as success, we have I don't have it in numbers, but we have a very high success. And the way we look at it too, Dr. Father Orsi, is if that child spends 6 months to 2 years with us, and when they leave us, we've at least instilled love, that there is love on planet Earth, because most of them think it's a very hostile world. We've given them love. We've given them the word of God. We've given them prayer. We've given them seeds, kingdom seeds, to take with them wherever they go. And so a lot of times it's hard for us to track their success. And the reason for that is because they're minors, we are not authorized legally to reach out and contact them after they age out. So if they don't contact us, we really can't. So we do have a lot of kids and girls that call us, and they're doing great out there. And there is a sad side. There are many that don't flourish, and some that go back to their traffickers and die. But for the most part, we do what we can. It's kind of like the old starfish story, it matters to that one. We do what we can.
Yeah.
And is it a hard job? Yes. Our house parents it's tough because these are angry little girls when they come to us.
And one last
can't
question.
Trust anybody.
Do you ever have any boys brought to you? Boys?
We only serve the women or the girl population. However, there is a ministry that's getting ready to open in Port Charlotte for young boys, and it's called Restoring Oaks. And they're not open yet. They don't have a home yet, but it's in Port Charlotte. And so that's the only one that takes boys right now that I'm aware of.
Okay. Listen, folks, I know that a lot of you are just as shocked and disgusted as I am, hearing what Karen has to say. But also it's edifying that there are people out there and organizations out there that want to help these people who are caught in sex trafficking. Now, I hope that a good number of you, I hope all of you, have seen the movie Sound of Freedom. And after I saw that movie, I realized that I had to do something about it. And so I spoke with my good friend, B.C. Cloutier. He's the president for Action for Life. And we decided to raise people's consciousness and to raise some money to put an end to this sex trafficking, especially here in our own area, Collier, Lee, Tamiami Trail. So we got in touch with Jim Caviezel. He's the star of the movie. And we're going to be having a benefit, really, on October the 19th at the Naples Grand Resort Hotel. And tickets are available. We still have some tickets available for a fantastic evening. The money will go to help organizations like Karen's organization and also Magnolia House to give these people a second chance at life, to get themselves back on the right track and to heal the wounds that have been inflicted on them. So it's actionforlife.net events, and you can get a ticket. Hey, Karen, God bless you. You're doing a great job. Karen's for action, I'm for action, and I know you are too.
Hi, B.C. Cloutier here. We've got some exciting news for you. On October 19th, at the Naples Grand Beach Resort, Action for Life presents Jim Caviezel live and in person.
Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
The star of Sound of Freedom will be here in Naples, telling us all about the filming of the movie and the real-life experiences of Special Agent Tim Ballard.
Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
Please join us for a lovely evening with dinner and beverages at the Naples Grand Beach Resort on Thursday, October 19th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. Get tickets at actionforlife.org/events.